This is Gotham City Impostors. We're here on the Xbox 360. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here? It's 720p and it, wants to be 30 FPS. But yeah, this is actually quite an interesting shooter game. So this was something I actually played a fair bit of back in the 360 era. It's still strangely playable, as I was kind of like, oh, I'll give it a whirl and everything like that last time I was on, the 360 here. And there's actually people playing. So I've got a match here where it's like, I think it's like 3-on-3 or so, but there's actually another match afterwards that's a little bit more full too, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it's very, very bizarre, this one. So the gist of the game is that it's, it's a shooter. It's Batman v Joker, but it's people like cosplaying as Batman and like cosplaying as Joker, killing each other within the different areas of Gotham. It's really quite a concept. I don't know why I'm waiting. Oh, there's somebody over here. So it's really, really quite an interesting concept because you get to visit like these iconic places. You get to have like sort of the dress up, the style, the costumes, and like the cosplaying of like these, two iconic like DC characters, but it's like a shooter game and it's got all the silly kind of weapons and tools and custom classes. It's a multiplayer only title, so it is something that like, you play online with others, and it's just, it's really interesting that people were still playing it because, I kind of assumed it was just sort of gone and not available anymore. So that was really, really intriguing to me, and the fact that despite its age, there's literally still people, online playing it is just wild to me. I don't know why I'm idling at times here. I think I was doing something or distracted or whatever, but yeah, it's kind of neat. So I played a fair bit of this with one of my pals back in the day. We used to, sit here and play quite a few matches and stuff like that. It was a good time. It was actually, it wasn't like a mind-blowing shooter or anything like that, but it was a decent experience. It was fun. It had a good selection of levels to it, a good selection of different game modes. It was very much like a typical sort of shooter, but with a very wacky sort of feel to it. Like grappling hooks or weird rocket explosives. I mean, I think some of the abilities make it a little arcadey, if that makes sense, because I was even seeing that when I was playing it. I was like, wow, some of these guys have some like really kind of crazy like abilities and stuff set up. I was a little surprised by that. I definitely wasn't expecting to get kind of killed so much. But then again, when you're playing guys that are like hundreds of levels and you haven't played it in years and years and years, it is like, whoa, it's a little daunting. I think I was doing all right though. It's also strangely like you die sort of fast in it too, and then there's this interesting element of like actually having to go and get like health and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. And there's different like types of Batman Jokerz, and it was a very interesting title for its time. I think it's going to be largely forgotten and whatnot, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, the 360 is also apparently the only place that this is still kind of going on. So I guess you would say eventually, this is kind of it. Eventually it'll just vanish and kind of be forgotten, because I don't think they'll really bring it back. Like they even went like free to play on like PC side of things, and yeah, it was definitely an intriguing title. It's one of those ones where I was kind of always like, it'd be cool to see like a quick, remastering, re-release of this sort of thing, but I really can't see that happening at any point down the road, if that makes sense. Like, it definitely was of its time. So we had 4 modes: Psych Warfare, Fumigation, Bounty Hunter, and Team Deathmatch. So Psych War was about 2 teams trying to bring a battery back to their base. Fumigation is where you're capturing gas blasters, so sort of a domination type thing with a bit of a twist. Bounty Hunter was where you win by collecting coins players drop when they die. And Team Deathmatch is pretty self-explanatory. Oh, I guess there were challenges, so you could play those alone to master the gadgets. So kind of like a bit of a training mode. Like there is a training thing, but yeah, I guess that's sort of what, sort of a little bit more intensive than that, I guess you would say. So what an intriguing title. I don't think it ever really made like insane waves, but it was just sort of like this niche kind of thing where I was like, huh, I like this game. Game's kind of fun. You know, and from time to time I'll think about it, or I'll make jokes and references to it in other games where I'm like, it's like Gotham City's, where you're, you know, cosplaying as these kind of characters and stuff like that. It's really something that is a time capsule of its particular era, if you get what I mean. Like, it's something that's just so wacky, and, you know, the fact that they even kind of, like, did this sort of blows my mind, because this is like, you know, pitching this concept must have been almost nonsensical. Well, we want to make a shooter, you know, it's DC, but it's like, we're not going to have like Batman going around shooting, you know, Joker with like machine guns and stuff like that. How do we do this? And this is kind of what we ended up with, and it's really, really different. You know what I mean? Like, I would see this almost being something that would come out, like, almost after the time this came out, just in terms of there being so many, like, experimental little shooter games that were releasing at the time. And then, yeah, this one to actually release, you know, through the arcade and everything like that was kind of really interesting, like the Xbox Live Arcade. Just because it is, you know, kind of a shooter title and had a bit of a larger backing behind it. But yeah, it's just sort of, I guess, gone, you'll say, at some point. It was just so neat to jump back into it and, you know, play the game, compete with some other people for once, you know, once again, like so many years on. And the fact that there was actually people playing it, like I said, was just, like, really mind-blowing. I was like, there's actually people in this? This is crazy. Like, what are the odds? But it seems like there's a bit of a dedicated group with it, because I get spammed with invites every single time I go online on the 360 for it again, or to play like anything else on the 360. So that is really genuinely interesting. So it was a nice little time capsule jump back in. But it was cool, right? Like, this is so weird. Like, you've probably been watching this if you've never heard of this game before or seen it before. Like, this was, you know, this is what it was like. You were just literally these two costume teams going around blasting and shooting each other, but doing silly stuff. And I would say, you know, with these teams kind of being really locked in, a lot of these people having played this so much, they're high levels, you know, they're not really doing silly stuff. Like, I mean, to a degree they are, but like, if you were playing this back in the day, there'd be such a variety of, like, silly class setups or silly abilities being used, and, you know, there's different game modes that people would be doing this kind of stuff in. It was really neat for its time. You know, I'm sure that's, you know, not some deep, in-depth concept of gameplay and stuff, but, you know, it was a small, little, cool game that sort of just came out of nowhere. I think there was, like, a beta for it. I somewhat remember, you know, a beta or something, like, for this one. And then it released, and I kind of, like, was playing it, and I covered it, and I had a good time with it. I think my sister also played this one, too, quite a bit, and quite liked it. So it was definitely good use of the brand, and a good use of, you know, Batman and Joker, and something a little bit different. And I'm sure it was very much experimental in terms of whether or not this would work, but it was cool that they took a risk on doing something so weird. I guess it's also somewhat risk adverse too, because it's literally, you know, reskinning a shooter with these types of properties, but, you know, it's not like something that you would ever kind of expect. Like, it must have been a joke at the office or something that, like, kind of made this even come to fruition. It's like, we should do like a shooter, but, well, you know, we have the Batman, the Joker characters, let's have people dress up as them and shoot each other. And it worked to a degree. I mean, it's not like it's in the long term still going on, so it wasn't necessarily a mind-blowing success, but I think I and maybe some others that played it have some fond memories of, you know, enjoying this title and its weird quirkiness. So I hope you kind of enjoyed a little bit of a, you know, a trip back, taking a look at it, you know, seeing the game in action, because it was a bit of a, it was a mind-blowing experience seeing this one again, because I legitimately, my mind never even processed that this would even still be playable, and I was like, yeah, we'll give it a whirl. And here we go, we're literally playing the game, which is kind of wild. So I'll just leave some more non-commentary gameplay so you can just take a look at it in action and get out there. Go Team Bats, go Team Joker, I guess. What a strange situation this one was, that is for sure.
Death for everyone! Everyone! Estás muerto y yo me río. ¿Lo notas? Es la justicia. Abajo, hazte el muerto.
Behold your undoer!
Buen intento. He sido yo que te he matado.
I have vanquished you heroically.
Don't eat bullets, silly! My boo-boos go! Saca, que yo miro.
Una manovra da marina y otro vuelo.
Anda, bésame el culo, a ver si te gusta.
Justice has undone you!
They're in the lead? How irritating!
Pierdes, payaso. Yo gano.
Jumping beam! Headshot to the top! You never had a chance! Dying by my hand is a great honor! I have vanquished you heroically! Brainstorm!